It is 5:30. Ollie, if you want to get us started.
And call the meeting to order.
All right, Kevin here, yep, okay, he's there. Ollie will call the roll. Duncan Campbell. Here. Susan Snyder-Salmon.
Here.
Holly Reed Sturgeon.
Here.
Don Hall.
I'm here.
Debbie Reed.
Here.
Doug Wilson. Here. Devin Blankenship.
Here.
Tom Maxwell.
Here.
Okay, we have 7 members in person that constitutes quorum, and we have 1 member that is virtual. Okay,
You still in Maine? Or you in Nova Scotia?
I'm in Nova Scotia. Yeah. Yeah, I'm visiting friends up here.
all right. So it's been a little bit since we've met. Last month's meeting was canceled. But we do have some meeting minutes to approve. We have the April 17th, 2023 minutes. Those are on, begin on page 3 of your packet. I'll open the floor to discussion, comments, changes to make, etc.
It's been May.
I am 1 month behind
Oh, okay.
on these.
All right. We start with.
Yes, those are the only ones that are completed at this time.
Okay.
I have not got to the May ones yet.
I didn't want to assume. I have one correction. I can find. Regarding to myself. See, I'm not sure. It looks like page 5. The historic stagecoach roadway. You might want to correct the state. There's space there.
Yes.
And then, which is minor, and then one of the stops. This was one of the stagecoach stops, was Hindustan, that's correct. But I'm not sure there are 2 barns there. There are 2 barns on the roadway, 2 very old, but not at Hindustan.
Gotcha.
One is between Bethel and I think it's called Prairie Drive. And this is on the old State Road 37 North. It's on the west side as you head north. And the other is on the east side. And then the cemetery is the Stip Cemetery is farther north, closer to Morgan State Forest. There.
Near Morgan Monroe State Forest.
Yes.
There's also the Payne Cemetery right there near that barn.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on the west side. Correct.
Yeah. Yep. On the west side.
Before
Yeah.
Wishing Ave, yes.
Okay, so Payne spelled, how do you spell that?
Payne.
Very on the west side by the barn.
And then there's a Stip. Devin, isn't it Stip, STIPP, Stip
The one-
Cemetery?
In Morgan Monroe is STEP, STEPP in Morgan
There you go.
Monroe, if that's the one you're talking about.
Yes, thank
The
you.
one that experiences all kinds of vandalism and activity.
Which
Yep.
was just totally conditioned and redone by the
Okay.
township trustee, I might add. There is also a cemetery for county, right along there, and a historic bridge abutment listed in the, report. Right before Anderson Road.
Yeah. Are you talking the cemetery that's on the right hand side, kind of on the crest of the hill?
Yeah, on private property, but it's open.
Yes.
Accessible and maintained.
Yeah, I don't know the name of that one, but she's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember what that's called.
Step was spelled STE. E's and echo. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
There's an abbreviation on the first page of the minutes, FKA annexation area, or is that formerly known as?
Yes,
Okay. Was my guess.
I can extend that for clarity's sake. Yeah, the annexation area 4 was just kind of our working title. And so we discovered that Sunset Hill is truly what that area is named.
People put all sorts of adjectives in front of the word annexation, so I just wanted to see what that one was.
Yeah.
There's that cemetery is Lip, LIPP, Wallens. RAWLINS. It's Roy Anderson. There's a lot along there. But I think that's past the area of work.
Okay. Does anyone have any other comments or edits to recommend?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve meeting minutes for April 17th, 2023. With the stated amendments. I will now call the roll. Susan Snyder Salmon,
Yes.
Paul Reed Sturgeon,
Yes.
Ron Hall,
Yes.
Debbie Reed,
Yes.
Doug Wilson,
Yes.
Evan Blankenship,
Yes.
Don Maxwell,
Yes.
and Duncan Campbell.
Yes.
Vote is 8-0. Okay, next on our agenda is administrative business. I do have a follow-up to the potential historic preservation overlay district for Sunset Hill, formerly known as annexation area 4. I don't recall what we last spoke about regarding this one, but I did make a visit with Commissioner Thomas and one of the property owners in the area that is interested in the overlay. And we walked the neighborhood that afternoon. And there was a lot of talk about environmental preservation and kind of the activities that they are doing over there in that neighborhood. There's several neighbors that are at least interested in or are actively pursuing habitat restoration and habitat preservation. And there's also, of course, some of those historic preservation resources or historic resources that have been identified as, I believe they're all listed as contributing. There's some of those that are in this area. So after that meeting, planning staff forwarded the property owner a lot of information about the historic preservation overlay rezone, essentially, is what it is. If they would spend the time to look over all that information and ask planning staff if they have any questions. Because last time we talked about this, we stated that this board stated that they would prefer to have something come from that neighborhood instead of being authored by this board. So that property owner was very much interested and would be talking with her neighbors about their interest as well. After a few weeks after that meeting, I myself was talking with the assistant director, Tammy, at the planning office, and we kind of thought of another opportunity for them as well. Basically, a lot of their concerns are from an environmental standpoint and a preservation standpoint of the physical features in the area. And of course, you all know the HP overlay district is fairly limited in what it actually can protect. It's pretty much structures and the historic resources that you deem can fit the criteria. Planning staff may reach out to the neighbor again in the future, along with some discussion with Commissioner Thomas about the possibility of a planned unit development, which is a PUD. And that can incorporate multiple different properties, and they kind of just build their own zoning ordinance in their area. We might look into what that looks like. We've never done a PUD from a purely preservation standpoint. Usually they're kind of spearheaded in a way to create some sort of mixed use development or special density. But it's something that we thought of that might fit better with what they want than just doing the HP overlay. Because there was some concern that the quality or the number of historic resources out there may not be able to meet the criteria. But that's something for them to based on their analysis of their own area and their neighbor support. So I just wanted to fill you all in about that.
Do you know, is there a PUD for that neighborhood near RCA Park that's got the, environmentally sensitive houses and native plantings and things like that? Do people know which one I'm talking about off Rockport Road?
I've been there, yeah.
I'm wondering if they have anything specific that neighborhood could draw from, because I know part of that was and I know there's a big neighborhood effort there with local plantings and, rain gardens and things like that. That they've even made I think Vicky Haralovich made a guidebook of plants in the area and recommendations for, future maintenance and development of that there. So that might be a good resource to draw from as well.
Is that in the city's jurisdiction? Do you
It's
know?
I believe it would be in the city's jurisdiction. It's right there by Country View, RCA Park. But it's visible from Rockport Road. It's those houses that, some of them might have solar panels, but a lot of them have like passive solar, and none of them have, enclosed garages. The most they have would be a carport.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know what that neighborhood is specifically called, but it's, is it Susie Street? I can't remember what street it is. It's something like that. But if I find the information, I'll send it forward.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So could you
Yes.
characterize the kinds of environmental issues that they're looking at?
Essentially, the neighborhood is a island of zoning surrounded by city. And they came together and demonstrated against the annexation efforts of the city. There are at least the individual that I spoke with and did the tour of the neighborhood with, she is very passionate about habitat restoration and preserving that area. I believe she wants to get a portion of her land designated on the state level of some sort of habitat preservation area. And there are a number of hobby farms in that neighborhood as well. So that individual, I believe, reached out to the commissioner's office, who said, hey, you have some historic resources in this area, and that you should talk to planning about historic preservation opportunities. And that's how this kind of came up from the start. But as I've said, kind of getting to walk around out there, And doing a little bit more of a look through of what historic preservation resources are out there and what their quality is like. It seems like more or less they're looking to preserve the environment and the state of the neighborhood, kind of just wanting to protect against any further development or encroachment of, very urban style.
Which an HP overlay could do.
It could, yes, it very much could.
I'm sorry, Paul.
So I said an HP overlay would do that.
Yeah.
Protect those development.
Yes.
If it would fall.
If it would qualify.
And the whole area is pockmarked with huge sinkholes.
Yes, there is a lot of cars.
Underlying issue of water quality that maybe is somewhere in the mix.
Yep, certainly there's that. There's a lot of other physical and environmental aspects about the neighborhood.
Some nice big trees back in
Mhm.
that section.
Yep, exactly. The primary neighbor that we've been speaking with, that neighborhood came together for the remonstrance. But there is surely a wide range of ideas about where the neighborhood's going, political views, all of that. So they're trying to figure out where everyone should be in the middle. And preserve the area. Yep, so I will keep you informed on any additional stuff I hear about that, especially if it's directed towards.
Does the county survey cover that area?
There might be survey resources in the surveyor's office records, but they don't do any private surveying.
No, the historic preservation
There are
county survey.
Oh, yeah, there are, the resources located there are on the Shard database. They're listed as contributing. Just north or just south of the neighborhood is where that small little gas station used to be located that has since been moved due to the road widening. But there was talk about this board, if they were to pursue that HP overlay, that there might be some way to get that back and included in that area to its original location. Or at least closer to its original location.
and the mill just butts up against the east end edge of it. Sunset,
Yeah.
right there. Fence between us. And that's in the city.
Yeah, that is in the city. That's the tricky part too, is that, there's a jurisdictional line right along here.
Was this the neighborhood where a lot of the first houses that were the limestone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devin is correct, it is South Suzie Street.
So I guess I would just add that it wouldn't depend in any sense on whether it's contributing, notable, outstanding regarding whether it has significance. Contributing is considered just as significant as outstanding. It's just that you need several resources to make it work. So for instance, if there's a link to limestone workers housing or any other cultural sort of relationship, they can be kid houses, they can be all kinds of stuff. Dole Gardens is largely kid houses. There's no outstanding buildings in that neighborhood, but it's a historic district.
Okay.
So that's why I asked you if it was surveyed. It was surveyed, recognized by DNR as state survey. That's a major issue. If the surveyors went through there and said, nah, something in here, that's different. But if they said, yeah, there's something in here, even though it's contributing, that's just as important a statement as saying it's all outstanding. It's just that they won't be individually eligible for the National Register.
So I can share that with the property owner.
And also, is there an environmental commission in the county?
I think that there is to some degree. I am not completely familiar with
A
that.
statutory commission like this is, like.
No, I don't.
Environmental.
Yeah, I don't believe so. I think it's more of a just.
That would be their purview too, to look at.
Yeah.
That's,
There's no regular board that I'm aware of that meets like this.
but if they're particularly interested in keeping the integrity of the area away from development and stuff, then as Polly said, this would be the perfect thing to do. So I kind of felt like it was like, well, I don't really qualify, and it's mostly environmental, but that really shouldn't be a reason to say no. If they get interested. I mean, I feel like that needs to be communicated to the neighborhood because designation is, you know, the requirements of designation are a little more sophisticated than just how good the houses are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the idea of the PUD and the more environmental side of things has not been communicated to the property owner yet. Essentially, you know, in my conversations with them, they seem very excited about an HP overlay. And what I said is no, I did not mean to come off as saying, you know, we've discouraged them or anything like that. So I can certainly send them a message to reassure them that the contributing peers, that's just as good. And that if they have any questions about the HP overlay process, we can out and give more information.
Yeah, I mean, especially if that's the kind of protection they want.
Mhm.
They still have to qualify as a historic district, but
Right.
a PUD won't protect them from. As a matter of fact, it may open the door. So.
It could in another way, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we have a number of old business items. You'll note that they don't have page numbers next to them because I don't have any updates regarding them. But once again, I've kept them on our agenda as old business items so that we don't lose track of them. So I will just kind of skip over them as they all will continue to appear on our agenda. And if there are any updates regarding them, I will be sure to communicate those. We do have a new business item. It's-
Before we go there.
Yes.
I wanted to address under old business, the High Street pass. At the Limestone Festival, had quite a lot of community people share feelings about certain things, and 3 different couples were just as angry as I've seen people in a long time about the High Street. They're just, you know, they're taking our property, they're not taking it from them, they make more money. I mean, it's the usual conversations that you hear. So I think that has a lot of secrecy about it. It seems to be that people are not getting information. I don't know if there's any way that, you know, those details are just don't seem to be available to residents. And I'm just kind of wondering if the Underground Railroad sites that are right there and the cemetery are safe. And I know that we don't have any jurisdiction, but I'm getting the sense that there's a lack of communication, and which makes me nervous.
They're putting in a wider sidewalk on High Street, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
There's not a
literally
lot of
taking
room there.
what's left of people's front yards on High Street. But it moves from side to side depending on.
Where it's available.
Makes the best path, but
The same thing is happening on the old State Road 37 North. It's just bouncing everywhere
it is.
and it's. People are, they did have one meeting at the fire station, but a couple years ago in December, but I don't think it was very well attended because of the timing. But I think a lot of people out north feel some of what you're echoing, High Street, you know, that there needs to be more transparency. Of course, I don't want to say it's too late, but for future projects.
I can, I think one way forward, given that concern, would just be to email, you know, the project coordinators or even the Bloomington's Historic Preservation Commission. Just reiterating this board's concern for the existing resources and ask if there's any
That would be
updated
good.
information.
Just let them know we're watching. If everybody agrees. Speak for everybody.
Yeah, if you send it to the city commission, most likely put it on our agenda as just as an alert. Probably
Oh, that's
a
nice.
discussion will probably ensue.
Thus leading to a bit more transparency perhaps.
if the city, if the commission that has jurisdiction goes to NDOT with a complaint, they have to respond. They can't like treat you like a neighbor. It's worth having, well, they can't, I mean, so somebody might, but typically they respond if there's a jurisdictional regulatory commission that's jurisdictional.
Any other topics of discussion relating to old business items? Okay, so we're moving into new business. Beginning on page 7, we have a section 106 letter, construction of a basketball court at 1140 South Morton Street using physical improvement funding via the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Program. So this is also, I believe, in the city of Bloomington's jurisdiction, but again, as the section 106 process, we were notified. So it's essentially what it sounds like. And it is the construction of a basketball court on Morton Street. See here.
That blue bridge crosses over Patterson, it's right by there.
Mhm.
Okay.
That they included in that. Here's the picture. Here's Patterson Drive. This is all included in your packet as well.
The area that's surrounded by pink on the map is newly constructed. I wish I knew the proper term for it, but I think it's some sort of shelter for families in distress. I don't know whether it's financial or psychological or battery or those sorts of things. So those are new buildings. It used to be just a parking lot there. So my sense is that the basketball court is just a supplement as a place for kids living in the shelter or even adults to play basketball. It's been a parking lot that Kroger was using. Kroger's a few blocks to the north. I think employees were parking there.
This, Don, I think this was actually down at that dead end of Madison, and it was kind of grassy for a long time because those are other warehouses down there. That's where the IU buses are, I think. IU and City
Yeah.
Bloomington
Yeah,
buses.
that's the bus depot right there.
Exactly.
So yeah, but I think as far as that parcel of land that has the New Hope shelter built on it, I think that it's been vacant for long enough, and I feel like it's been, soil has been overturned enough that I don't think there's anything sensitive there that we need to be too worried about, because I mean, it's been open and bulldozed probably 2 or 3 times by now, but while they're building those buildings. So I think that the impact of the basketball court is pretty minimum for that whole parcel of land. So but yeah, I had a friend who lived in one of those houses there just at the very end of that section of Madison, and it was grass forever, it seems like.
And then on this page, page 11 is a rough sketch of where the basketball court will be located, along with some landscaping and appears to be sidewalk.
And that's adjacent to the McDowell Historic District. So the city will look at that. They'll evaluate that.
Yeah, and it's far enough from the
We're just a
rail
consulting
bed.
party on that, right?
Yeah. It's more like the backyard of a Madison Street. Historically it'd be kind of in that category. So it's not even railroad bed adjacent directly, even though it's got the Morton Street address.
Don't need to take any action or do anything, we just.
Unless you want to, could just be, no comment or, I believe in most cases where section 106 letters are present, a no response is deemed no comment. So,
They just asking, were they asking on this one if we want to continue to be consulting parties or
so
say yes in that regard? Can't remember which one.
yeah, it looks like it was,
If you do not wish to consult the backside of responses needed,
there you go.
so we still want to stay in the loop, do we not? Or not?
Yeah, you don't give up your consulting party relationship because you don't respond. We would still, they would still send us a letter if there was something else happened.
Okay.
It's double negative, so I'm just a little confused.
Mhm.
So, do not wish to consult on this project, no reply to this letter is needed.
You could,
What does that say?
we have no initial concerns, but we'd like to stay as a consulting party.
Like we are not replying to indicate that we are not.
Yeah, it's a double
concerned.
negative, so I'm very confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need an English degree. Didn't Gloria write that, whose first language is Spanish?
Yeah, I was thinking that, I was thinking that very thing.
You can pronounce her last name.
Branya?
Tanya.
Branya?
Say it one more time.
Branya? Anya?
I will also note stating that there are no initial concerns for this board and that we want to remain.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any posts, not to really necessarily put that to a full formal vote. Okay. All right, that brings us to the last item on our new business. And that is the 2023 work plan updates on page 14. So I updated it a little bit. I crossed off Limestone Month Festival, June 17th, and also the House Limestone Heritage Teachers Workshop, which was June 21st to 23rd. And then, of course, other things that are already crossed off were the letter to the property owners for the annual notice for those individuals or property owners that have historic preservation overlay designations. So yeah, I'll open it up to the board for your discussion.
Well, I would like to ask Polly to give us sort of a summary of the teachers workshop.
Sure.
I mean, that was 3 intensive days and a really good group of people.
It was, the teachers received 25 professional growth credits. They need 50 every 3 years to renew their 90 every 3 years. 5 years, yeah, to renew their license. So they got a big chunk of it in 3 days. All from Monroe County. It's a mix of elementary to high school students and one administrator. We had 10 features, 5 of them, we had 15 signed up. With our max, and then 5 of them canceled in a few days before. So we might kind of brainstorm ways to change that in the future if we did this again. We ended up having some other folks join in, so there was plenty of people involved. The first day we did an overview of the geology. So we took them to 2 quarries, Crown Quarry, which is done by Indiana Limestone Company. It's not active, but it has really excellent fossil features. And then we went to Independent Limestone, south side of town by the water plant, and then went to some road cuts, and the state geologist took them on those field trips. So they got to actually see it being turned over. It's really excellent. The second day, they participated in the symposium, did a hand carving session, and then they had to tour the Bybee Mill. That was a really fun day. And then we went to the public library and met with one of the librarians there who showed us around the Indiana room. Then on day 3, we had Susan come and talk about genealogy and grave markers. We did a little tour of the campus limestones architecture at IU, and then a wrap up where they got to create sort of a small lesson plan. So it was really impactful. I had several of them write write or say that that was the best workshop they've ever attended. And
Oh,
yeah, so I'm gonna save those quotes. Yeah,
That's good for future advertising.
Yes.
We attend a lot of pretty
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah.
And the food was, they all loved the food too, which I liked it. So I think it was really a success and they definitely appreciate Limestone in a different way now. So that was great. Good job.
And the Limestone Festival,
The festival went great. It was a lot bigger than last year. Last year, I think we had about 150 people. This year we had 400 participants. Susan, your booth was busy the whole time. So it was, we had more vendor folks and we had more visitors coming in from the county. So my plan is to have it again that Saturday before Father's Day next year.
one of the things that I found lacking, and certainly if anybody wants to help, there's more than one person could be fine. But I found, because I was half of the bodies floating around were children.
We had a lot of kids.
And I had, the children were they took all of my little handouts because they were looking for something to hang on to, because they were picking it up, that's the little stamp on their passport. But I'd like to think forward, is there something that, like the book that was done, the cartoon, not cartoon, that's the wrong word, the coloring book. Something that we can design and have available, and there's printing money. I think I'd like to find a way to have something. I also forgot the signs. I didn't tell everybody that we were at this board, but people were drawn in by the photographs and the purpose. I think that Cheryl Hudson did those originally. Thanks to Drew for getting the awards for me, because and if we can find something that people really were drawn to, the dry spectrum wall information. I got 5 new leads and actually found some new walls down in the Clear Creek area. That was really cool. And they're great. They're in great shape. They're wonderful. They're on private property, so I only looked from afar. But I'd like to have something that cater to that K through. Right. We can think about what we might have or what we can put together.
Try to build a dry stack wall.
Well, I did have pieces cards, and what was really neat is 2 doors down, they were getting little crinoid pieces. From an Indianapolis group.
Yeah.
I certainly hope that their source was such that it was okay to give those away. But I was pointing out to them that their little piece of crinoid was right there in the rock. And they thought that was totally cool beyond words, that they were able then to take that learning and say, okay, it's in this huge piece of rock that I brought. So I saw it in context. And then those were the stones, and I had to pick it up, and I said, would you like to do that all day long for a year to build a wall? And they weren't real convinced that they would want to do that.
Yeah, Polly, I don't know if it was Doug who said this, but I think a lot of teachers do experience some subpar workshops, so it doesn't surprise me that you were able to put a stellar one on that they had high accolades for. I would definitely put like the number of points forward and get as many of those quotes as you can. And then maybe develop a wait list or something for next year where you've got people kind of at the ready to fill in those, 5 extra spots if people drop out or things like that. Because it is such a good opportunity to get those continuing education credits and really feel more connected to, the geographic area and the history to be able to do that. So I think I can see that potentially growing over the years, because it is hard to get that many points in one shot over a 3-day period. So I think that's great.
That's about the same number of points as having a student teacher.
That's true.
Right there at the same level.
Yeah.
So did we engage that curriculum that we have? I mean,
We did, we showed them, and any curriculum that they create that will be put onto the website.
cool.
Great. It's wonderful.
I was in response to your query about involving the younger set, that there are a lot of good ideas in the curriculum set that might be, one or two might be engaged in some kind of presentation at the event. In other words, it's not a whole curriculum. I mean, it's not a whole semester's curriculum or anything, but there might be two or three ideas in there that I remember talking to the faculty that developed that, and the early learning part was kind of like, where do you engage limestone in your daily life? And they were like, gravel driveway, and they named all these things, and like, so many of they did a test classroom, and kids didn't have a slightest idea of where gravel came from,
Big dump truck that does everything. Negative grocery store.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea. We might go back to those teachers and see if they had any thoughts about it. Give them a chance to kind of feed back as to what piece of the curriculum do you think would go together to make a nice little handout?
Yeah.
That's I think they'd engage in that.
Oh, nice. It was a success, and I think we're getting the word out about limestone heritage more and more in the community, so it's great.
And Susan, were you able to find that section of wall on Vine Street?
I haven't been over to
Ellisville.
Ellisville. I've been
Okay.
concentrating down on Clear Creek because I've been
Yeah,
biking that trail.
I believe it really only goes about 1 block by the old motel. I don't think it goes any further than that, or at least I didn't see any evidence of that. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
I will follow up, and not to digress, but one of the pieces of wall that I found is, and this is a question, is that Fullerton to Gordon future connection. That's in the county, is it not? Or is that in the city?
Probably most of it's county, I'd imagine.
Right there is a wall. Right off the Clear Creek Trail. There's quite a long, and I suspect that there's more in that area because it's right on the old Campbell property from the original purchase back in the 1816 something. I don't know if you're related.
No.
Okay, so it's right along that line, which is really interesting because what I've been able to do is start a pattern with the information we're getting. And that's a natural grade there. So that little piece of wall that's sitting there, I'm going, okay, when they put the road in, they're going to destroy that. And there may be other stones around because I see them repurposed in a lot of the properties around there. So I'm just real curious as to what, how that works.
Well, and I think we already had, and it was now years ago, that we had our review of that extension, because I remember one of the concerns was how close
That
the
part of the
road was.
69 deal?
Well, no, it's part of the Fullerton Pike, to go across.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the concerns was how close the road was going to get to like the edge of houses. But we were mostly concerned about houses in the area, kind of going along all the way over to Sayre Road. But I don't think we were aware of any sections of wall. So it might be interesting if Drew or anybody else is able to dig up our comments from that.
You
But yeah,
guesstimate what that might
point in
have
time,
been?
yeah, or I don't know if it feels like 5 years ago, it was probably 10 years ago, but it was probably it was pre-pandemic. I know that. In fact, I think
It is right on the pathway.
yeah,
The
so I
piece-
mean,
and I
that,
can see 15 feet of it from the Clear Creek Trail.
yeah, that might be worthy of note if there's anything that can be saved or salvaged or even rebuilt or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it was before Bill Williams retired. I think it was Bill Williams was in talking to us, so I guess that tells you what year it might have been. But that's the reference I have. But I don't think we were not really looking at walls, and we certainly did not know of any in that area when we made our comments about the section 106 reporting for that area.
Is that the same event where we drew their attention to the stone entryway to the old water treatment plant that's right there just west of Walnut Street?
This is further
Oh,
south.
possibly, yeah, because there is that. I think I know what you're talking about, Duncan.
That's the Roar Fullerton cut through.
Yeah, because basically it's Fullerton, Gordon, Rohrer, yeah. And it's that section that there did used to be a road that connected all the way from, Fullerton over to Gordon back long ago.
There's a road there.
Yeah, but yeah, we were not even looking at or really thinking about walls in that context at all at that point in time. So it might be interesting to go back and then also kind of revisit that and see if there's anything we need to do at this stage or can do at this stage to ensure some sensitive work in that area.
Is that
Before
enough
the,
information, Drew, to find something? Okay.
I think so. See what I can find. And
yeah, I guess it'd probably be back in some of the older Fullerton Pike project or whatever the official name of it is. Probably some of the older stuff, but I feel like, Bill Williams, I think, was still in the highway department because I think he came and talked to us because one of the questions I had for him was basically to ask, like, this is essentially a cross county highway that we're building. As far as it was like 4 lanes and the speed was high enough, it was like, no, that's pretty fast moving big road. And as we can see from that intersection down there at Walnut and Gordon Pike, it is a pretty big operation. So I don't know, but I thought that might be worth mentioning, especially now that we're on the Stonewall mission.
I also, the Limestone Symposium came to me and asked me if I would do a tour slideshow for them. My quarry property. Historic photograph slideshow that we got through the Geological Survey. Yeah, so we did that. But it was during the Limestone Symposium. They signed up 15 people and 7 showed up or something. Pizza was good.
So you haven't sold yours, right?
No.
To bring up on the bottom section, ongoing apps. So Steve Kennedy sent out, and I had forwarded one last month or so, but he sent out a link to register for camp, which is virtual this year, on Wednesday, September 13th. I have already signed up, but myself or Drew, I think you're on it too.
Did you
forward
send that link to us?
I can send, but it just came like 2 days
Oh,
ago,
okay.
so I can forward it or Drew can, and so if you want to sign up for camp, I think this is a great way that we can do it for free this time because it's virtual. And then the Preserving Historic Places Conference is up in Muncie this year, so not quite as far as last time. And that is September 19th to 22nd. And there is up to 2 scholarships for every CLG. Susan, I know you said you were interested.
Well, yeah, so I got to go last year,
Right.
so we've got other people that want to go, but I definitely want to make sure they're used.
And the deadline for the scholarship is August 25th.
That's what we have to, each has to send it in.
Send it in.
I might be able to get one through the city, so typically. They'll be asking at our next meeting.
Holly, what'd you say the dates are on that one? The 19th through the what?
The in-person one is 19 through 22.
Okay.
And it's up in Muncie.
It's in Muncie.
See, I can probably attend the virtual camp, but I have a hard time when it's that many days in the semester.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's always good to know, just in case.
Yeah, they run the camp usually as the first day or the first day before the real conference.
And this year it's going to be virtual.
And are they also going to do it in person?
No, it's just virtual.
Makes it a bit more accessible. Yeah. It's a really good event. I've done it a couple of times. It's good.
They do mention that they want you to commit to the whole time. It's 8:30 to 4:30. So if you can only make part of it, they ask that you not sign up for the virtual camp.
One can always level its computer and just stay on.
Get out of your chair if you want.
So I will forward that all to you tonight.
Thanks.
I know I can't make the in-person. If you think that you want to. Susan's already raised her hand, but if somebody else wants to, we got spots.
The online is, you don't have to worry about fees or.
No, it's free.
Yeah, okay.
A few years ago, a couple of us split one of the scholarships. One of us went one day and one went another day. This is in Evansville, so if that works out for anyone. Possibility. I'm in a similar situation as Devin. I can't go all for the entire time.
If you can go, I mean, it's a good deal because they pay for your lodge, half your lodging.
Yeah.
Most of the meals are included with the conference. You could really have a 3 or 4 day vacation. If you fly, the conferences are typically good. Not always, but usually they are.
So you, a couple years ago, you were able to split up the days on different people. But it's a long drive up to the city.
Right.
We have there by 8 a.m. Start on time.
Yeah, when I did it, I went down to Evansville and they gave me one night's accommodation. So I drove down, I mean, TMI here, but I drove down to Evansville early in the morning for the day that I attended. And then I stayed through the evening, spent the night, then I got up and drove to work at Terre Haute. So it kind of worked out.
Maybe everybody should take the time to look at the programming, because it's all online now, it's all been released. See if I want to go like on a particular day. See if we can't work something out. Oh, when I did one of the Limestone Festival people that came by is working with the Johnson County. So you know that they do not have a historic preservation board. But he's with the group that is morphing from like Bloomington Restorations Inc. to, they've got an ordinance written. It's about to be approved by the county board and they expect to have a program going with others. In Johnson County.
They're getting a lot of encroachment from the south side of Minneapolis. Greenwood's probably been demolished by now, but Franklin, I think it's probably in the way.
But yeah, Franklin has such amazing, that city, I'm not sure, he didn't say, we didn't have really time to talk if it would include the city of Franklin. County.
Not to sound like too much of a rebel, but it would be interesting with some of these things that are completely virtual to see what other states are offering virtually. Because, you know, a lot of the information would be the same, or a lot of the practices would be the same. So it'd be interesting to see what other virtual opportunities there are out there, in, you know, whether it's neighboring states or, you know, things like that.
The National Trust Forum doing a lot of virtual stuff.
Cool.
Which is, maybe you have to be a member, but it's not that expensive, but they have. I think they're trying to program everything that way, or as an alternative anyway. That's a lot of their forum events are impossible to get to. There are a lot of them. But they're a lot of virtual.
Yeah, that's nice. I'll have to check that
I like
out.
that part too, but they're very, very good. They're more specific preservation applications. They look at very specific issues, how people have dealt with it all across the country. Like maybe they'll be industrial compatibility or, you know, narrowing it down, but they'll do several. So it's really, especially if you have issues. I guess like, I don't know if they've done any on stone walls or anything like that, but you know, if there were landscape issues, that would need resources.
I think I attended
Bring in
one.
real good people.
I think I attended one that was about Black culture and sites, often very deteriorated because they haven't been valued or preserved. And you're kind of earlier about it's not just well done houses by rich people that need preservation. So I get what group particularly wanted to target some of those things. I think the National Trust virtual forum that I listened to,
That's good.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course, there's a huge push on African American sites, so going on everywhere, finally. So there's,
The Herald Times had an article today going on down south.
there's a lot of that, a lot of that.
I've been working for the Lions folks. I recall there was at least one day where this topic is on the agenda for Muncie.
Yeah, that's by right.
When I looked at it, I thought I saw a couple.
Haven't done anything on demolition delay. I got a stack of things. Up you ready me or?
Downloaded,
Yeah,
checked out, looked at, need to get to.
Did you have any luck finding driving tour guides?
I've not gotten to that yet.
I did find one on Harrodsburg.
Okay.
Which is dated, but still is a good model. They were all done, I think I remember this. There was some sort of grant maybe, because it looks like they were all done at the same time. They all have the same look to them, the city ones and
Nancy
Harrodsburg
Easton
one.
did most of them when she was staff for the city of Bloomington.
Okay, that explains that, okay.
In cahoots with Bloomington Restorations, they helped with some of them, and I think I don't remember the funding source now, but I think that they.
There's reference in all of them to a funding source
I
and
think someone came from
collaborating.
India Landmarks.
I just don't wondered if we have any besides Harrisburg that cover.
I would check with Danielle too.
I see as I'm looking through my email, I'm a digital hoarder. This true confession. It looks like I have found there's Harrodsburg, Maple Grove, and Smithville Sanders. And then there's one that is just referred to as, hold on, I gotta close this window here for a second. It says total, and I think it's just about historic preservation in general. Yeah, it's just examples of historic sites in Monroe County, and that's got a big old DNR stamp on it, but it kind of goes through the different styles and things like that. Maple Grove Road, stone walls, yeah. So we have 3 there, and then a general one, and I think there were some interns that did a bicycle tour, and I feel like that included Smithville and Sanders. And then
Can you
there's-
forward those to the whole group, Devin?
yeah.
Thanks for forwarding them.
And then, yeah, I try. Sometimes it's by accident. Let me see. I've got from Jackie Scanlon a Barden tour. Yeah, Cheryl Munson, Smithville Sanders. So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll forward those, but I think there was a bike tour that some interns made at one point in time, but I don't see that in here. But I've also only searched driving tour, so maybe if I search bike tour, I will find my digital hoarding treasure. So no, because I have too many international travel things in here, and too many of them include bike tours.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I'll get those PDFs to everybody. The driving tour ones.
Let me just ask for, I probably should do this as a subcommittee, but is there interest in developing a Dry Stone Mall tour? Yes.
I think there would be, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think it would be cool. And I think we need to do a historic limestone districts one as well.
Yes,
I do too, really.
I agree.
I am in touch with someone who has deed information from the early 1900s from the Kellum property. Apparently, when they took down some of those walls, IU purchased them, and that's where IU got its rock to build the fences that looked original but weren't. So he's digging for that information. He got a hold of me after the presentation. And he's looking for his deeds and he has an invoice, he thinks, where IU purchased a bunch of the rock, which I think, that's a part of the story.
There's a whole bunch we need to update on the website, the Steinsville nomination, all of the driving tours that Devin will send, I think the link to your talk. So I put that on
Well,
my
and
to-dos.
the STIP vendor is confirmed now, so
Oh, right.
we can add that to the list.
So I will email the web person, I don't remember her name at the moment, but Wendy, yeah.
And Drew, did you have a chance to check on those thumb drives?
I do have an update. Wendy is no longer with the tech services department. We do not have a new webmaster yet. It is more of a group that is doing the webmastering.
Of course, that's always helpful.
Yes, so if you want to compile something that you want me to send to them,
Okay.
you can do that. And at that time, I will ask them about those jump drives as well.
Really just, again,
Add these videos.
yeah, probably just sitting around on somebody's desk drawer.
Most likely.
Not to be facetious, but probably.
It's okay. This is good.
So follow up on that.
The annual property notices did go out.
Yes. We did not send a letter to the White House. That was, yeah, addressed for one of them.
Yeah, that was a little.
Somebody at the gym.
Intern.
I'm just looking under dry stone walls, Drew, with the conclusion of the Rumpke affair. Was there a deliberative statement that they're going to have the Dry Conservancy, Dry Stone Conservancy come in and use
Yes.
that for teaching? Did they make that decision?
So we requested, this board requested that Rumpke provides some sort of statement that is basically them agreeing to the report recommendations that came about from the Dry Stone Conservancy. I don't know if any teaching has already occurred on the property, but when I did my site visit for their land use certificate, there were workers out there actively working on the high priority areas of the stone wall.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, they were listening to tunes and they were out there working in the heat, so.
It's a real skill set.
Yeah, it was cool to hear the sounds of them working while I was doing my walkthrough. So like I said, I don't know if any teaching has occurred. I might want to reach out to Dry Stone
Would it,
about that.
this is for everybody, would it be useful to reach out to Conservancy to ask them to keep us informed of any activity they might be doing in the area? Because we might not know about it until after it's happened, unless
Yeah.
somebody thinks, I mean, because Danielle used to be sort of a conduit.
Sure.
I ran and didn't run. I met the guy that was repairing the wall on Maple Grove. And he was quite entertaining. But I would think that he would be the person who would be up here, and we have someone emailing each other, gave me some photographs. I can reach out if that makes sense and just say, you know, if you're doing something, let us know. We'd love to help support.
Mhm.
Well, I'm key away to them. Are you going to be doing your, are you going to be doing the talk about Nancy that had to be postponed?
The city has, we haven't set a date for it yet, the city.
What?
I was doing a remembrance for Nancy Hiller. It was scheduled during Preservation Month at the city, and I got COVID the day before it went on. So I couldn't do it. I was trying to get them scheduled for July, but. Okay, so We have to get City Hall, we have to get the council chambers to do it in and send out.
Because it's the Rosemary Miller,
Yeah, with the Rosemary.
so you'll
And I-
make sure.
Yeah, I'll let everybody know. Thank you. There is a memorial for her, August 26th, I believe, a separate event. That's it.
We six.
Let me check.
One of the things I really appreciate this is that Nancy Hiller would have never let us get away with saying these things, nice things about her while she was alive. She would have instantly tried to downplay them, you know, upon receiving an award or recognition. And so I'm grateful for the fact that people like Duncan are able to really share the genuine spirit and talent of Nancy Hiller without her interfering and downplaying her own talents. So it's a unique position, and I look forward to when we get to attend Duncan's talk, whenever it may be scheduled.
Yeah, I won't mention how self-deprecating she could be.
Yeah.
But I was really upset that I couldn't get it done because
Yeah.
her husband and I both, he had opened all her resources to me.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah.
thousands of photographs, access to her shop, long conversations with him, you know. and It's all primed to do it. And my wife and I had been traveling, and we think she got it in the airport or something, coming back from Italy, and then I got it a few days later. Time for the event.
Well, I for one was glad you postponed, and we didn't really need to be exposed.
No, I was like, with a room full of 100 people. Plus I can barely stand. So yeah, we're gonna reschedule it, and it may actually be after the memorial now, I'm not sure, but I'm trying to get the city to commit to a time. It's August 28th is the memorial. And it's at Deer Park Manor. 5 p.m.
I don't know if anybody besides me is interested, but I learned that the History Center has some interns that are doing, you might appreciate this, Devin, are doing an inventory and organization of the old BRI documents that have just been handled over the years. So I'm looking for things that relate
Good.
to the walls. And they have a sort of a reminder posted, anything about a wall, let me know. But that's over the summer in terms of working on that.
Good.
You may find some really good stuff buried in all of the
Very good. Yeah, no,
chaos
that sounds
that
exciting.
has been in boxes, so.
I know another concern going on right now is with those HT back copies that are being now auctioned off, I think is the plan. Because nobody has accepted them. Nobody feels like they have the storage space for them. But it's like printed HT. Yeah, basically. Yeah. And so so anyway, I think now the HT is just planning on auctioning off all the paper archives.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find the article and I'll send it to you, Susan. My brother-in-law shared it. But I think it's been offered to the Indiana Room, it's been offered to the History Center. I think it's been offered, but nobody feels like they have the storage space for it. And so then,
That's big.
yeah.
Contact answer at ancestry.com.
Yeah.
A lot of cool pictures in that one. I used to work down there in circulation.
Oh, and for the longest time, you could access, all those old pictures and all those old articles online. There was a sweet spot there where it went pretty far back, not all the way back, but pretty far back.
I like that game. I thought that was unique. It's cool. Come out at 11 in the morning.
Does anyone have any other business? Something on the work plan to discuss? Sure.
Second.
Okay, or, 6:40.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dennis. Thank you.
Thank
to
you.
Had a busy summer.
Y'all did it. It's exciting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
See you down.
Yeah.